impure klipot, which is an impure manifestation of these attributes. And the Keteres has a particular power to elevate the sparks of holiness that have fallen into the klipot. And this is illustrated by the fact that one of the ingredients of the Keteres was chelbanum, translated as galbanum, which is a very foul smell. And it's precisely when we burn this spice that has such a foul smell together with the 10 ingredients of the Keteres, which have a beautiful fragrance, that the collective power of all of them together takes even the sparks that are in the clutch of the force of evil and elevates these sparks. The example that is given is of the power of a minion. We have 9 tzaddikim, and off the street comes one Rasha. He's like the chelbana, the galbanum, that in himself he is foul smelling, but once he joins the rest of the minion, he comes out, he's elevated, and the whole minion couldn't take place without him. And so the power of the Keteres is known that it has the power to elevate the sparks out of the impure forces. Reb Nachman tells us that the essential nature of the klippas, the forces of darkness, which unfortunately today just surround us everywhere. They come into our homes, on the internet, on the television, in the newspapers. Everywhere we have concealment of God. Nobody talks about God. Where do you see any billboard that ever advertised prayer? Where do you see any billboard that ever advertised Shabbos? Nowhere. It's all hidden away. Reb Nachman therefore tells us right up front, this is all superfluous, the klipot. The klipot are superfluous. They're not the real essence of creation. This was not why God made the creation, for all this excess of bodily desire, of lust, of impulse. That was not the purpose of the creation. This is all extra. And Reb Nachman collectively refers to all of these impulse, drives and desires as atzvus. Atzvus we translate sometimes in English as depression or anxiety, negativity. It's when people are running on nervous energy and not with seichel. And Reb Nachman brings various verses from the scriptures, which I'm not going to go into in too much detail since most of you don't have text in front of you, and I'd rather focus on the essential ideas of this mimer. But Reb Nachman brings us proof from the verses that the klipot, which are called the atzvut, etzev, Solomon in Mishlei says, "B'chol etzev yeh moisar." In every nervous anxiety attack is really something that is superfluous. He's saying these klipot, these are the very power of din, the power of constriction, of restraint, of severity. And thus it says in the Torah, and the account of how mankind fell after the creation of Adam, that vayis atzev el liboy, God himself was, as it were, kiviyachol, depressed in his heart over what mankind did with this great gift. So there it says in the verse that he was depressed in his heart, vayis atzev el liboy, and it's precisely the heart that is the battleground between depression and happiness. And that's why King David in Psalms 4, he says, "Nosato simcha belibi," you put the simcha in my heart. The heart is the battleground of negativity and depression, and the heart has to be the place of simcha. And Reb Nachman continues, he says, the exile of the Shekhinah, the exile of the divine presence, which is the very heart of creation, because the Shekhinah is the joy of Israel. The essential exile is caused when the klipot, when the forces of depression, anxiety, lust, negativity overcome the holy soul. They trap the divine presence which is manifest in each one of us, in our individual soul, in this trap of negativity. And that causes the situation when even God, as it were, kiviyachol vayitzatev el liboy, the God himself falls into, if we can say such a thing, the state of depression. On the other side, it says that when Israel will go out of our exile very quickly in our times, it says, Ki v'simcha seitzeu, precisely through simcha, you will go out of your exile. Simcha is not, as I say, some entertaining side issue. It is the very center of our struggle to get out of exile and to reveal HaKadosh Baruch Hu in the world. And for this reason, because the ketores, the incense, has the power to elevate out of the forces of evil all the holy vitality, for this reason it says of the incense, the incense, ketores is samach lev. The incense will bring joy to the heart. And thus we see that when a person does a mitzvah in the state of simcha, he is literally elevating the Shekhinah, elevating the divine presence, because the mitzvah is the Shekhinah. It's known in Sfarim that the word mitzvah has manifestly two letters, the name Hashem, the Vav and the Hey. The first two letters, the word mitzvah, Mem and Tzadik. In the alphabet of Atbash, Mem is Yud and Tzadik is Hey. Mem is the 10th letter from the end of the alphabet, and Tzadik is the 5th. And therefore, Mem and Tzadik are a hidden, have the first two letters of Hashem's name in a hidden way. Every mitzvah is a levush, it's a malbush, a garb for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And that's why the very word mitzvah alludes to the full name of Hashem, Yud Kei Yod Vav Kei. Mem Yud, Tzadik Hey, Vav and Hey manifest. And so it's the power of simcha that lifts the Shekhinah, the mitzvah, out of the clutches of the klipot. And Reb Nachman concludes this section of Maimer by telling us that here we have the idea of how Malchus of Eilam Ha'asiyah comes out of the klippos. This is the first step of the devotional pathway of the Kabbalah, which the tzaddikim use in the daily prayers. The first step is through the performance of the practical mitzvahs, the talis and the tefillin, giving your tzedakah before you begin to pray. When you do all this in a state of simcha, you are initiating the whole process and doing something very powerful. You are starting to take the Shekhinah out of her exile.
Are you taking questions at the end? Or?
Well, we will take questions at the end. We will now, since it's 9 o'clock,
we should wait for people to come to Myra.
We should wait for the Myra people. So then let's go on with the Myra as long as we can. We're going to have to interrupt tonight's class for Myra, which will daven, which will give us more strength for the continuation of the class.
Then we'll restart after.
So Reb Nachman continues with this Myra. וכשאדם עושה איזה מצווה, יש כוח במצווה לילך ולעורר כל העולמות לעבוד את השם יתברך בבחינת בנאורנו ובזקנינו נלך, בצאננו ובקורנו נלך. וזה בחינת מלכוס מלביש נצח עוד יסוד שהם כלי ההליכו, וזה בחינת תוירס אלוקוב בליבוי לא ישמעד אשורוב שהיא הולכת לעורר, וזה בחינת הליכוס כלי מלכי בקודש. כשמעל את מלכוס לצורך הקדושו היא מלבשת את הליכוס כלי, את נצח עוד יסוד לילך ולעורר כל הדברים לעבודת השם יתברך. We now come to a concept for which science has absolutely no place whatever, and that is that the mitzvahs that we perform in the world of Asiyah are having an influence over all the spiritual worlds. This is the concept that the ideology of Yavan, the ideology of Greece, the ideology of the Sabbath Beatuna, the elders of Athens, has no place for. How it could be that somewhere in the middle of Flatbush somebody could bind himself with a tefillin and give a little fetch of extra simcha, and that could actually affect the entire world. So that's what Reb Nachman now tells us. When a person does some mitzvah, that mitzvah has the power to go, to travel, and to arouse all of the world to devotion to Hashem. That mitzvah binds all of the worlds to Hashem.